The problem has gotten worse. The left has gotten more disconnected from reality. You have to look no further for proof of this than Don Lemon himself, who just 7 years ago, this was in 2013, I believe, Don Lemon was on CNN. He was talking about some of the racial tensions that were cropping up back then. And he actually deferred to Bill O'Reilly. He deferred to conservatives. He deferred to people who were pointing out that most of the social problems among black Americans don't come from the cops. The vast, vast majority don't come from the cops. They come from social dysfunction that has arisen for a variety of reasons, but which can only be fixed within the black community.
It's time now for some tough love on the subject.
The reason there is so much violence and chaos in the black precincts is the disintegration of the African American family.
He's got a point. In fact, he's got more than a point. Bill?
Raised without much structure, young black men often reject education and gravitate towards the street culture, drugs, hustling, gangs. Nobody forces them to do that. Again, it is a personal decision.
He is right about that too. But in my estimation, he doesn't go far enough. Because black people, if you really want to fix the problem, here's just 5 things that you should think about doing. Here's number 5, pull up your pants. Number 4 now is the N-word. Now number 3, respect where you live. Start small by not dropping trash, littering in your own communities. I've lived in several predominantly white neighborhoods in my life. I rarely, if ever, witness people littering.
All right, slow down there, David Duke. Come on, Richard Spencer, cool it with the racism. Of course, nothing he said is bigoted or racist or anything like that. But today, could you imagine if he said that today? We had to play a slightly condensed cut of that, but I forget who posted it. Someone posted it to Twitter. You can see the entire link. He goes on and on. We actually had to truncate it a little bit. If Don Lemon were to say that today on CNN, well, he couldn't say it on CNN, but even if you said it on a conservative cable news channel, I'm not sure you could get away with it. Frankly, I think you might get canceled for it. You might be told that's racially inflammatory, that's offensive, that's politically incorrect. Even CNN's own hosts were talking about this 7 years ago. The problem has accelerated. And as it accelerates, it's going to create more problems. The Democrats would have a better chance of winning elections. The left would have a better chance of winning hearts and minds if they were a little bit more connected to reality. This is the great conservative consolation, by the way, because the left always takes the culture because they promise you free stuff. They don't only promise you free money, though they promise you that as well, but they promise you free sex. They promise you free leisure. They promise you free indulgence of your appetites. They promise you fundamentally that things don't have costs. You can do whatever you want sexually and not face any consequences. You can eat as much as you want and not face any consequences. You can laze around as much as you want and not face any consequences. And the conservatives have to come in with this unpopular message, which is, no, everything in life has a consequence. You can't free yourself and liberate yourself from every single thing in the world, and even if you did, it would make you miserable. So we're at a disadvantage when it comes to that kind of messaging because the left gets to come in and give you free stuff. But reality reasserts itself in the end. That's the great conservative consolation. Because when the left gets so completely disconnected from reality, people know that. And we joke about that and we laugh about that and we send memes around about that. So no matter what they're telling you in the mainstream media, and I think there are things that the Trump campaign can fix, and I think they got to reopen the country ASAP where the left is going to have a real advantage. Actually, that's another great example. There's now no scientific reason whatsoever for the lockdown. The lockdown was meant to flatten the curve so that we could spread out the cases, not overwhelm the healthcare system. We're nowhere close to overwhelming the healthcare system. We never got close. We never even got close in New York. We had empty hospitals in New York and an empty hospital ship in New York. There is not one argument for a renewed lockdown, scientifically. But there's a major political argument for the lockdown, which is that it helps Biden because it lets him stay in his basement where he doesn't have to talk too much, and it shuts down Trump from campaigning, and it puts us on the road to having national widespread mail-in ballots, which are rife with fraud, and we've pointed out cases of that fraud over just the past few weeks on this very show. Okay, this is a great example, actually, of the disconnect between the scientific reality and the political ideology here. And there are a lot of people looking around and saying, wait a second, you told us not to wear masks a few months ago. We see on the CDC website that masks don't do very much at all. Your own arguments are contradictory. You told us that a zillion people were going to die. That hasn't happened. You told us the point of the lockdown wasn't even to save people's lives, just to spread out the deaths. What are we doing? That moves in our favor. So the left, if the right can wake up to it and finally actually advocate for our own positions, the left is not in a good place. This video is sponsored by BlinkSale, the revolutionary invoicing software for contractors and small businesses. Spend less time billing and more time making bank with BlinkSale. Get a free trial at the link in the video description.